This is a mind optimization session for your mind to become strong, resilient, and healthy. How can we make it so that your mind craves doing hard work and that your work pulls you along instead of the opposite? How can we make you feel like your work is exciting and you love it so you can achieve amazing things? How can we make you the main character in your life or in your game and make you want to excel on that path, feeling like you work for hours on end and hours go by like that, like when you're sitting and playing a game? How can we do that? That is my goal for this session. I will give you tools and techniques on how we can construct your work, the systems in your life, to feel like you're playing a video game. I'm aware that attention span is down the drain in this modern day and age, and if you have a bad attention span, make this video the staple that you are starting to change. Use this video as a practice, focus all the way through, take notes if you can, and learn the tools and techniques and implement them in your life. If you can't watch a video like this all the way through, then that's actually where you have to start. So if you can, try as best you can to watch it all the way through and see that your focus strengthens only on this video. When I first started my journey of trying to improve myself, I found it really difficult to know where to start, how to begin, how to continue, which path to go down. I watched a lot of videos, I read a lot of books, and I tried a lot of things. I was hopeful in the beginning and I was so amazed and excited, and I went down so many wrong paths. That is learning. One of the biggest lessons that I learned was to not make things too hard. I had morning rituals that was hours long, and I thought that sitting down doing hard work feeling like shit was the path to success. Now, many years later, I've been on this journey for 10 years, I realized that I can actually achieve way more by having way more fun. And that having exciting and fun in my workday gives me way more results than stagnating and doing the hard things that makes it feel like I'm pushing a boulder up a hill. I'm here to tell you that if your work feels like a drag, you don't feel inspired, you feel like you're watching the clock every like 10 minutes to see if the work day is over or you're done your schoolwork, then you're actually just doing it wrong. It is ways that you can tweak, twist, and implement systems and techniques into your workday to make it feel way more exciting. And I'm using the analogy of a video game because we all know that you can sit and you can play a video game for hours on end without feeling bored. And you can be there for 5 hours and it seems like it's gone like this. Why is it that a video game and doing other kinds of work is that different? When actually they're the same thing. In a video game you do activities, you get rewards, you learn, you improve. The same is with your work. You do stuff, you implement things into the world, you learn and you improve. So why is this thing so easy to do that it almost drags you along and gets you addicted, but this thing is super hard to do? And that's because the games are constructed with different implementations so that it feels easy. The video game designers have gone into the human psychologies and seen what kind of triggers the human mind has to make this fun, engaging, and exciting. And you can do the same thing for your work. So the best case scenario is that you change your gaming experience and make that into your work experience. And that's what I'm here to do for you today. So pay close attention, because if you implement this into your work, it will feel way easier and you will start to feel like you're playing a game when you're working. Just to convince you even a little bit more, just think about it. Life is really a game. You have a character, you have graphics and physics, you have storylines, that means the different things you do in your life, you have different characters, you have rewards, you have treasures, you have unexpected things happening around every corner. It is a game, but it is a game with no rules. So if you create your own rules and you play on the psychology that you already have within you, you can make it as fun. So how will we do this? We need to construct our work in a 3-phase step, like the same that the game developers do within video games. We have first the foundation, where we need to lay some foundational principles of our game. We have the rules of the game. That means you have some rules that you need to follow. And then you have the game dynamics that makes it exciting. So I'm going to take you through those 3 categories, and we will figure out how you can twist and turn your work to make it way more exciting. What I'm doing here is I'm using something called flow. And flow is the state of mind and where humans are at a peak performance. Flow is an actual state of mind that can be measured scientifically, where you feel like you lose track of time, your cognitive functions are turned up to the highest level, and you perform at your best level. And this is what we want to activate. There is research done where they have figured out different triggers to activate this state of flow. And this is really what video games do. So we need to activate these flow triggers within you so you can feel the sense of flow and therefore perform at your best and feel like time is flowing by like this. First, we need to have storytelling in your game. If you're sitting and you're reading for school, you're doing work, you're at a job, what is the story of this character and this job that you're playing? You need to create an exciting story of why you're waking up every day and doing this thing. An overarching story about you going from rags to riches, or you going from being someone who works your way up to the top of the system. For you, going from a student that don't know anything to become an excellent student, you need some kind of story to bind this all together so you can move also to the next step that you need to have, and that is a purpose. You need a purpose with the story. In every video game, there's a purpose for the character, an arc of the story that it goes through to achieve some end goal, to do something within the game. It can be a short PvP game, like for example Fortnite, where you just have to win the game. Or it could be something else, like The Last of Us, where you play through the entire game to save humanity or something like that. You need to create a purpose that drives you forward, that really fires you up. And the thing is that you don't have to change your work to do this. You can figure out a purpose within your profession or the thing that you're doing in your work. If you can't find anything, then probably you have to change your lane to find something that drives you purpose. Because without purpose, there is no fun in playing the game. Lastly, for the foundation, you need a passion. And that's the same with a purpose. You need a passion for what you're doing. Is it exciting for you? Does it light you up? Do you feel like you can expand your skills and that you're learning something new? Do you have passion in what you're doing? So, in the foundation, you need a storytelling, you need a purpose for what you're doing, and you need passion for what you're doing. Next, for the rules of the games, we need some parameters to set that makes it playable, so you can play within the game. First of all, you need to have some clear goals within your game or your work environment. That can be big goals that you then dissect into smaller quests or smaller objectives that you need to accomplish. But they need to be clear, and you need to know what you're doing and why you're doing it. So if you're sitting and you're working on something big, then that is your main goal. And you can dissect that into smaller pieces, and you can start to go for the small quests and celebrate and reward yourself every time you achieve these quests. And then we have the challenge skill ratio, which is one of the most important things when it comes to flow states. That means that you don't want the challenge of what you're doing to be too high. You don't want it way over your comfort zone, so you feel overwhelmed and you feel like you can't actually handle it. And you don't want it too low, so it becomes boring. If it's boring, then you have to make it exciting. You want to stay in that sweet spot in the middle of the channel where you're pushing your comfort zone, but it's not way out of it. It means should be 5% above your comfort zone. And this is what games do. When you first start a game and your environment is kind of pushing you, but it's not too difficult, so you fail all the time because that pulls you out of flow. It becomes way too hard. It is always stimulating you to beat the bosses or the next level, but it's not too hard. But it's not boring. It's not like you just can do everything easily, because you don't want that. You don't want it to be too easy, because then it feels boring and you won't go into flow. If you got all the gear, all the levels was beat, and you got all the cheat codes in the beginning of the game, do you want to play that game? Don't you want the challenge? This is the challenge skill ratio, and this is very important for getting into flow and making work feel easy. Don't make it too hard for yourself. Make it easy and exciting, and have the challenge skill ratio in place. This next point goes along with the one I just mentioned, and that is complexity. Don't make it too complex. Make it easy. Have a set lane where you can understand where you're going, because if you make it way too complex, it will overwhelm you. And if you are playing a game, you don't think about the last boss when you start with a little dagger. Then you start with the little dagger and you do the next thing, and you discover the next thing. And that's how you progress through the game. The same is true with your work. You don't want to start thinking about the last boss or 20 years in the future where you achieved all your goals. You want to focus here and now. Then we have gameplay. And this is the last point of your game that you need to get right to make work feel like you're playing a video game. And these gameplay methods you need to implement and sparkle over your daily work tasks to make it exciting and to make the gameplay fun. The first thing here is that you need curiosity. That means you need curiosity about what you're doing. Imagine when you're playing a video game, you need to want to see what's in that dungeon. You need to want to see what's within that chest, what happens when you beat that boss. This is the curiosity driving you forward, and you need that in your work as well. What are the things that you can discover if you study your work, or if you excel in your work and do it better? Get excited and curious about the things that contains within your work, and build that curiosity to the maximum level, and I promise you, you will want to find out what's around that next door. Also sparkle in mastery. When you're playing a game, you're learning the tactics of the game and you're getting better and better. This you want in your work as well. You want something that you want to be better at. And if you have something within your work that you don't want to be better at, then that can be a big inhibitor for achieving flow. If you don't want to master anything in your work, can you create something you want to master? Can you come up with some ideas that makes it exciting and you can see the benefits of what you're mastering? For example, I'm making a YouTube channel right now. I'm making a YouTube video for you, and I'm mastering articulation. I'm actually Norwegian. That means I have to articulate in English, and I'm practicing articulation and being able to express myself in the best way. And that is really fun because I master it slowly but surely, and I'm getting a little better and better every time I'm making a YouTube video. So that is mastery, and you want to have this within your work or within the game. And the next thing is a pretty strange word, but it's called automaticity. And this is that your game needs to be inherently fun for you to do. You need to enjoy the activities. And if you don't enjoy the activities, then how can you create an enjoyable activity within your work? It is possible. It is ways. If it's no way to do this, maybe you have to change your profession. Everything is possible in this life, and you have immense power, so you can do it if you really go in for it. But if not, then you can change your work environment to make it fun, to enjoy the activity itself. If you're playing a video game where you're driving a car, for example, it is enjoyable just to drive the car. The video game designers have made it so that just playing the game is satisfying in of itself. And that makes you want to keep playing then and there in the moment. In video games, there's also immediate feedback. That means you get points, rewards, you level up all the time, seeing the environment evolving around you. You get immediate feedback from the environment on how you're doing within the game. And this is the same thing you need to do in your life. Get immediate feedback on what you're doing. See the results. See the way you're expanding yourself. See the way you're evolving as a human within your work, or the character within your game, if you want to say that. And then one of the most important things that I don't think a lot of people get right is reward. You need a reward. Imagine if you were to beat an easy boss that was not that hard to beat, and you got to the end of the game and there was no treasure, nothing you could discover, nothing you could get. You would get pretty pissed because you're expecting a reward after your hard work beating the game, or even small rewards sparkled around the game so you can get satisfied throughout the game. You need to do the same thing with your work. You need rewards all the time to make it exciting. What are rewards you can give yourself, or that you can see that you're actually been given by achieving new things, and make a reward system that makes it exciting to go for new things. Now that you have listened to the three main components and all the components within those three main components, don't you think it's obvious that if you think your work is boring and you don't have these things within your work, that you think it's boring? Of course it is. Without these things, why should it be fun to play the game? It shouldn't. Because this is what humans crave for and what we like, what we love, and you should have this too. You shouldn't sit there in judgery, try to push yourself too hard. So how do you implement this and make this a video game? And I can't take you all the way through every step you need to take, but if you have taken notes and you've really understood the components within the game that you're creating and the things I've been talking about right now, then you can make systems and implement this into your work. And I have to urge you that this is not something you're gonna do overnight. You have to make your own game. You're a game designer. Making GTA 6 has taken them 13 years. You have to make your game slowly but surely, building it and adapting it to you as a human being. So be patient with yourself. Start with one thing, then another, and implement one component after another. And when you've done this, come back to this video if you have not achieved flow, and I will try to help you even more. But I can't believe that if you implement this, that you won't achieve flow and that work will still feel like the same drudgery. So embrace the journey. I will have a sheet down in the description that's free that you can look at, where I have all the steps, and you can use that sheet to then build the game that is your work. You can also expand this if you master making your work a game, and you can expand this to other areas of your life. And then ultimately you can make your whole life a game that you want to play, want to be in, and you want to beat. Life is amazing and exciting, and you may just have been doing it wrong if you feel like it's boring. I'm Francis Drake. Subscribe, like this video, then the algorithm sees it and more people can see this video. And I'll see you in another video. Goodbye.